So first off, I'd like to say thank you for agreeing to make content for Kojo's Trick Lab. We want to get as many different perspectives as possible, so having your knowledge on the site will be useful, people will benefit from it, so thank you. Now I'm sure you have a bunch of questions about how to make a tutorial. What should you include? How should you present it? What are we looking for? Hopefully I'm going to be able to clear that up in this video. So first off, what should a tutorial do? What do we want you to get across in your video? The first goal of our tutorials is to give the viewer a clear understanding of what the trick is and how it works. So how many spins are you doing? How are you taking off? What variation are you doing? What position are you going to be in the air? Just the basics. What is the trick? This can be a really brief explanation. You just need to make sure they understand what it is they're trying to learn. The second thing is we want to inspire the viewer to want to do the trick. So you need to be talking about it in a way where you're excited about the trick and you like the trick. If you see it as something that's not that impressive and not that good, people aren't going to want to learn it, so try and be enthusiastic about the trick that you're teaching. The third outcome we want from the tutorial is the person to walk away believing that they're going to be able to do this trick. So it's really important to reference back to when you couldn't do the trick and how you managed to work on it and learn the trick and how they can do the same. If the person watching doesn't believe that they can learn it, then they're going to struggle to learn it. As well as giving them the progressions and the technique for the trick, you need to help them believe that they can actually do it. So after you've listed out the prerequisites they need for the trick, then you should be telling them that if you can do all of this, you're going to be able to do that trick. You need to be sure that the viewer can learn this trick, as that's going to make it much easier for them to believe that they can do it, and they're going to get way better results when they do actually try it. So let's get into the actual structure of the tutorial. Obviously first, we're going to start off with an introduction. So just say your name, say that you're filming for Kojo's Trick Lab, tell them what you're teaching, just the basics. You can say how long you've been tricking, you can say where you're from, you can say if you really like this move or how long ago you learnt it, anything like that. You just want to have 20 seconds to a minute of introduction, just easing them into the tutorial. Next, you're going to list out the prerequisites. So this is all of the tricks that come before the trick that you're teaching. Anything that they should have before trying this trick. The prerequisites don't need to just be tricks. You can even mention a certain level of flexibility they might need or a certain level of strength. It can really be whatever's going to be necessary for learning the trick. You just need to get across to the viewer what they need to be able to do before they start learning the trick. Next, you're going to do a basic breakdown of the trick. So pretty much explaining what it is at this point, just so they understand what they're going to be learning. Walking through the movement step by step, just so they get what it is and explaining it in terms they understand. For example, if you were explaining how to do an aerial, then you could describe it as a cartwheel with no hands. And you could also say it's like a butterfly kick with your head lower down. Just basic things to help them understand what the trick is, to link it back to those prerequisites so that they can understand how it all fits together. Next, you want to do step-by-step progressions. Now this isn't possible for every trick, but for where it is applicable, try to break it down into small steps they can take towards getting the trick. For example, if you were to teach a full snapu, you could break it down into full swipe with an extra quarter twist, and then with an extra half twist, and then landing all the way around incomplete. So just breaking it down into little baby steps. Now this doesn't really work for some tricks. For example, if you were teaching a cork double leg or something like that, try to link it back to the prerequisite and talk about the main things they have to change. So with cork D-leg as an example, then I talk about the main differences between a normal cork and a cork double leg. So for your normal cork, you'll lean your head and chest back in time with your leg swinging up. But for a cork double leg, as your leg swings up, you want to keep your head and chest forwards and keep your shoulders nice and high, as that's going to make you go more on a horizontal axis, which is going to allow you to hit the D-leg position earlier on. So that's just an example of how you can explain the link between the prerequisite and the trick you're teaching, and what you need to know to differentiate between the two and turn one trick into the other. Once you've gone through progressions, try to give detailed advice on what to do with every body part. Now you can be doing this all the way through the progressions, talking about what to do with your arms and legs and spot at different times, but try to summarize at the end and bring it all together and just go over all of the technique for the trick. For example, if I was teaching an illusion twist, then I'd say after I take off, I'm going to turn my head as soon as possible to spot my target. This is going to stop me from inverting too much and allow me to do an outside crescent. If I was looking at the ground at this point, I'd flip too much and it would turn into a shuriken B-twist, or I wouldn't even get the crescent out at all. So you want to make sure you're explaining things in that way. You're not only saying where to spot at what time and what to do with your arms at what time and your legs, you're also explaining why you're doing it and what kind of results it should produce. This is just going to help the viewer's overall understanding of the trick, and it's going to help them to get it sooner. You want them to feel like they know how the trick works. You don't want to just tell them what to do with each body part at each time, as it can easily be misinterpreted if they don't know why they are doing these things. So after that, you're going to go over the common mistakes of the trick. So this can be things you struggled with learning it, obstacles you overcame, explaining how you overcame them. Also try to include other people's mistakes. If you've seen a lot of beginners making the same sort of mistakes with the trick, then explain what the mistake is and how they can overcome that, or just avoid doing it altogether. After that, add a quick outro where you just say thank you for watching the tutorial, encourage the viewer, tell them that they can learn this, but it's going to take a lot of practice, especially if it's a hard trick. Tell them to go back to the prerequisites or the progressions if they're really struggling with it. Just end the video with a bit of encouragement so the viewer leaves believing that they can do this trick and that they have a solid understanding of how it works and what they need to be doing at each moment through the trick and what they need to be able to do before and just how the whole thing works. You want them to feel like they know the trick after watching this tutorial. On to the presentation. Make sure you film the tutorial somewhere as close to silence as possible. We want to keep background noise to a minimum as it makes the viewer experience much more uncomfortable. So if you can avoid it, try to avoid it. Don't mind a little bit of background noise, but if there's people talking loudly in the background or any music playing, then we're not going to be able to put it on the site. Especially if there's any copyrighted music playing in the background, that's not going to be able to go on. So try and film somewhere that's really quiet. If you can't get access to a quiet gym or a gym completely by yourself or a dojo or anything like that, then you can film all of your progressions, all of your example clips in the gym, and then just film the talking part of your tutorial elsewhere. You can just film it at home, film it in your bedroom, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're filming somewhere quiet and you're breaking everything down to the best of your ability. And make sure you have plenty of progressions and examples from different angles filmed so that I can cut it all together. You can make a rough cut of your tutorial if you just order the clips and just do a basic edit. That's really useful for me, saves me some time. Though you don't have to do this, you can just order the clips by introduction, prerequisites, progressions, common mistakes, all of that. You can just order it in those sections, as that's quite easy for me to work with. Just make sure if you do edit your video, you don't add any music, as it's easier if I just add the music in afterwards, as if anything does turn out to be copyrighted, then I'd rather that be my fault. If you do cut your clips down, try not to cut it too fast. You don't want all your sentences to be super close together. You want to have some pauses. It might seem a bit awkward for you to watch, but it's really important to have little breaks between sentences just so it doesn't overload the viewer. If it all kind of blurs into one big wall of text all the way through the video, it's going to be pretty hard for them to absorb and it's just not going to work as well. So try to be easy on the editing, don't over edit, don't cut everything super fast. When sending the clips, you can use Google Drive, Dropbox or WeTransfer. Those are the main three that people use to send me clips. If you have some other thing you want to use to send me the clips, that's okay, just let me know what you want to use. If it works, then I'm happy with it. After I receive your clips and review them and make sure we have everything we need, then I'll be able to send you the payment via PayPal. Now, if you send me your clips and there's some kind of issue, I might have to ask you to refilm some bits. I don't want to ask you to refilm bits of the tutorial because I know it's really annoying, but we have to keep the site to a certain standard as all of our viewers are paying customers. So we're trying to make everything as good as possible. So please don't be offended if I ask you to refilm anything. I probably won't though, as long as you followed this video. Once I've got all the clips I need, then just drop me your email and we'll pay you via PayPal. If you don't have a PayPal account, please set one up. It only takes 10 minutes. It's the easiest way for us to pay people in different countries and keep track of all of our expenses. So I'd really appreciate you making an account. That'll just make things much easier for us. Thank you again for contributing. Looking forward to your video. If you have any questions, just message me and I'll give you the best answer I can.